Yeah.
Yep, great camping trip. Great trip. Some great quotes.
Top notch.
My knee hurt for 3 days after our pickup basketball game. So you know you're getting old.
That's
Are you
good.
serious?
Yep.
No.
Something. Or I just woke up with a sore sprained knee later.
Gosh. I can't wait for our fall trip.
You wouldn't have done that.
Just joking. All right.
I don't know. I kind of looked into Kalina a little bit. It is very expensive. It's basically just like romantic bed and breakfast.
People are going to think we're lovers at some point.
Yeah, but I actually hired someone to do my taxes this year because of Sod Runner. I don't think I have to pay taxes for the next 15 years because of my startup costs.
Yeah, you depreciated the capital.
So I can launder money for you guys too.
Heck yeah. Now we're talking.
Nice. No guest, no caller, just us.
It was kind of funny. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Get over it. What were you going to say, Mike?
My tax pro van. She was really sort of tickled by my, because she's obviously done taxes for businesses before, but no like newborn businesses like mine that had in 2025 had zero revenue, of course. So she enjoyed that.
Nice.
You
just wait, Van. Just wait.
Just wait.
Sorry.
Yep.
Easy, Matt.
Sounds like Matt's still drunk.
It's funny. He passed out when he got home and just woke up.
Oh, that's funny.
I've changed my news consumption habits after some Art of Manliness posts, and there was a good one about how people used to designate time to correspondence, like an hour in the morning or something, when it was like letters. I kind of like that principle. And then there was another one on do you guys read the George Marshall one? Short? No. So apparently Marshall was just like super strict with his time. And even like during the middle of World War II was like incredibly like at 5 o'clock he shut off all business. So I've started doing that. I did Google what's the KMX equivalent for Springfield. It's WTAX.
No, you don't need one. KMOX is the voice of the Midwest.
Yeah.
I'm only half joking.
Either way,
The airwaves catch.
there's so many ads on it. So anyway, long story short, I do news on the way to work. Don't check my phone till lunch. News on the way home, and I put my phone in the drawer. I don't look at it again. That's been my habit this week. It's been nice.
Wow.
So like at 5:15, if the world explodes, I won't find out till the next morning. There's no way. I check the news.
There will be zero. There will be zero clues.
You ready?
Yep. I will
Let's go for it.
follow.
We
the
don't even need to
outline.
talk through it. We're like season
We are
season
Wendell
7. We're like season 7 of the Boy Meets World cast. We just show up and we do our lines.
Yep.
The fans love us. Okay, and I don't know if there's anything cute.
Tonight is all 4 members on the call. Michael Schaefer, Ross Johnson, Matt Schultz, and Landon Fry are all here.
Free.
From every direction.
What you were gonna be like, I met you on this podcast. It was our first podcast.
I've been back and forth.
Stories and heroes and things, and I'm like, okay, this is like a situation where heroes will emerge in some way, shape, or form.
It goes every direction.
So you guys asked if I prepped for tonight's podcast. I've created what I call the bridge.
I've been afraid some days.
That music just brings back fond memories of, the look on their face. When they played that song, they went back in time.
Okay, second last speeches by small towners. Yeah, second last is
the last of a quad. So, who was the first one?
We done
Ronald Reagan. Come on, guys.
Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. I chose
First
him.
man to ever live in a small town, Ronald Reagan.
and Ross picked. Oh no, Ross picked Ronald Reagan. I picked.
I just said that.
Jonathan Baldwin Turner. And Landon, what do you got tonight?
We have Mr. Wendell Berry. A speech we are calling that I think is called, if you were to find a title for it, it's called It All Turns on Affection Now. It All Turns on Affection Now. He delivered this speech. If you do type him in on YouTube, if you've ever heard of him, this was an award. He got the National Humanities Award at the Kennedy Center. It's designated as the Jefferson Lecture designation. Pretty prestigious company of winners: John Updike, Martin Scorsese, Walter Isaacson, David McCullough. He gave this in 2012.
Wow.
I think it was the very first one they ever videotaped. Go find the full video. It's probably a 50-minute lecture. We've got the full text here. We'll read some excerpts from and dive into it.
Okay,
Let's
hear
do it.
those excerpts.
One night in the winter of 1907, at what we had always called the home place in Henry County, Kentucky, my father, then 6 years old, sat with his older brother and listened as their parents spoke of the uses they would have for the money from the 1906 tobacco crop. The crop was to be sold at auction in Louisville on the next day. After many hours away, late night travel, he came home that evening, and as my father later would put it, without a dime. My effort to make sense of this memory and its encompassing history has depended on a pair of terms used by my teacher, Wallace Stegner. He thought rightly that we as Americans, by inclination at least, have been divided into two kinds: boomers and stickers. Boomers, he said, are those who pillage and run, who want to make a killing and end up on Easy Street. Whereas stickers, those who settle and love the life they have made and the place they have made it. Boomer names a kind of person and a kind of ambition that is the major theme so far of the history of the European races in our country. Sticker names a kind of person and also a desire that is, so far, a minor theme of that same history, but a theme persistent enough to remain significant and to offer still a significant hope. The boomer is motivated by greed, the desire for money, property, and therefore power. Stickers, on the contrary, are motivated by affection, by such love for a place in its life that they want to preserve it and remain in it. And so it has seemed to me less a choice than a necessity to oppose the boomer enterprise with its false standards and its incomplete accounting, and to espouse the cause of stable, restorative, locally adopted economies of mostly family-sized farms, ranches, shops, and trades. Naive as it may sound, within the context of our present faith in science, finance, and technology, the faith equally of conservatives and liberals, this cause nevertheless has an authentic source in the sticker's hope to abide in and live from some chosen and cherished small place, which of course is the great agrarian vision that Thomas Jefferson spoke for, a sometimes honored human theme, minor and fugitive, but continuous from ancient times until now. Allegiance to it, however, is not a conclusion, but the beginning of thought. The cost of this has been paid also in social condition, which apologists call mobility, implying that it has always been upward to a higher standard of living, but which in fact has been an ever worsening unsettlement of our people and the extinction or near extinction of traditional and necessary communal structures. The climactic scene of E.M. Forster's 1910 novel, where the heroine Margaret Schlegel and her husband, the self-described plain man of business, Henry's determination, he says, is to deal with things realistically in a situation that calls for imagination, affection, and then forgiveness. Margaret turns to him, and in the epic line of the novel, she puts it to Henry in the balance point of the book. It all turns on affection now. Affection, don't you see? And so I'm nominating economy for an equal standing among the arts and humanities. I mean, not economics, but economy, the making of the human household upon the earth, the arts of adapting kindly the many human households to Earth's many ecosystems and human neighborhoods. This is the economy that most public and influential economists never talk about, the economy that is the primary vocation and responsibility of every one of us. Owing largely to economic constraints, they have lost their hold on the land, and the land has lost their hold on them. They have entered into the trial of displacement and scattering that we dignify as mobility. But not all of this has been inevitable. We do not have to live as if we are alone. Those were a sampling of some of the key lines and frameworks that Wendell's a big writer. 10 fiction books, dozens of nonfiction, many books of poetry. And the reason I chose this speech is twofold. It really does. He does because this is probably the biggest stage he's been on, though he has lectured a lot. He really did condense down into one speech really the essence of his entire body of work and the flagpole that he has planted in American literature of staying and just the grand imagination that he's inspired ever more many by the day. I feel like whether it's Twitter blog posts or even church sermons, just the frequency of the times that I hear his name mentioned is like kind of going up and doubling each year. I don't know if the rooms I'm in are just of that naturally, but quite a profound thinker. And I do think once we get into it, some answers and at least a further unpacking of what threads we really got into on the last episode. So I will pause there and allow someone else to talk under the general outline genre that we call first reactions.
Man, this was probably about a year ago. I was listening to a podcast by a guy named John Cuddeback that I like. And he mentioned Wendell Berry as well. So it's just kind of like a different, it's kind of like, I guess maybe kind of like you had referenced. I feel like I'm hearing him in multiple places. Might be worth taking a look. I don't know, maybe because of you talking about him and maybe talking about things he said and this other guy, like I feel like I maybe knew him a little bit, despite the fact that that's kind of silly because I've never read anything that he's written. So I was kind of excited just to listen to something. So I was excited for the episode. Landon did a great pitch of Wendell Berry, the novel Jayber Crow. Landon, after your campsite pitch is my next book in line to read after the one I'm done.
Nice.
So
your brother's read it. He's read it. Did you talk to him about it?
What's that?
I think your brother's read it.
I know he's read it. I've never really talked to him a bunch about it. But yeah, Landon, you gave a nice fireside pitch on why I should read Jayber Crow. So long story short, I was just kind of intrigued by this speech. I listened to the lecture. First reactions. I don't want to get into too many like fine points because I'm sure we'll talk about him later. My first reaction was, I think I just came away with it. Like it seemed very just like commonsensical, but he tied a lot of like different threads together, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I could see somebody that's really into the economy liking this guy. I could see people that are really into agriculture liking this guy. In some ways, I could see like different people into philosophy liking this guy. And he seemed to kind of tie a lot of pieces, a lot of threads together. So I was like, that's my first reaction was just, my first ever listening to him. I was like, in a very cohesive way, I feel like brought together a lot of different points that I feel like I know people who kind of, this person likes this, environmental sustainability. This person more likes agriculture, but it like somehow, brought all these ideas into one cohesive thread.
My first memories of Wendell Berry was really right when I moved in with Landon, because it was at the exact same time I started dating Molly in grad school, and she, of course, I'm sure you remember, was a big Wendell Berry fan.
I do,
and
I didn't know who he was at that point.
Really?
For timeline's sake, no, I had no idea. I didn't really even figure out who he was till 2019.
Huh.
So,
and so I remember one of the things Molly and I did that sort of jives with that Wendell Berry type. I don't remember. It was some kind of organic farm we went to because they had unpasteurized milk, I think. Lord knows I'm glad I survived that, drinking that. But I remember that milk did smell like manure, and I'm not like saying that just to be like intentional. Like, no, it literally.
You can taste
great texture though. Great texture. But anyway, one of the books that she gave me was a collection of short stories by Wendell Berry called Fidelity. I do remember us reading them on the way back from that visit to that farm. And what's funny is, I'll try to straddle the line in terms of how much I spent on this because I think it's cool, but who knows, we'll be able to get to it in time. But I think it sort of ties into Wendell Berry's ethos too.
Yeah.
I never, for whatever reason, like I got the stories. I mean, I get what Wendell Berry's trying to do, but they just never grabbed me. So that book sat on my shelf for quite some time, and but I think it's rather poetic in how the story sort of, or that book ended up sort of tethering itself to my timeline. As I made the notes in the outline, I know I've mentioned to you guys, my grandma, the one who introduced one of the episodes of the podcast and did the Great Depression interview on the podcast. She was in the nursing home, and at that point in her life, is like you can only thankfully she could still converse, but there's only so many things you can talk about. And so it's like, well, what else can you do sort of connect in a meaningful way? So I was looking at my bookshelf, I remember, and I was like, oh, what book can I grab off there that we can sort of read together? And Fidelity caught my eyes. Like, I think that's it. And so I grabbed Fidelity, and I remember reading one of the stories in completion to her there. And, what she said at the end of that story, because I think it took 2 nights to read, maybe. But she asked, like, did they get married? Whoever the two main characters were, like, did they get married? And then when she was, well, maybe I'll leave that part out. It might be a little bit too much. But one last thing, if I can share on that fidelity story. So many of us know who Mark. So Molly also went to go see Wendell Berry, but she did not go to see him alone. She went with Mark Barnes.
That's right. She
Yeah.
Oh, get out of here. Okay.
So Mark Barnes wrote a little note to me on this bookmark here. And here's what Mark said during their visit. Well, first he had trouble with the pen. It was a little dry. And so he scratches out the top, and eventually you see the pen start to work, and he very self-consciously writes, and now the pen works. And he writes then, Mike, exclamation point. Life is too beautiful to end up a secular humanist. God bless. Merry Christmas, Mark Barnes. Oh my gosh. Holy smokes. You're not going to believe what the back of the bookmark comes from. What? It comes from the speech.
Really?
Are you serious?
He writes, Wendell Berry says, the primary motive for good care and good use is always going to be affection, because affection involves us entirely. Affection leads by way of good work to authentic hope. Wendell Berry, It All Turns on Affection, 2012, Jefferson Lecture in the Humanities.
Wow.
1993.
I was just going to say, this happened in 93 too. Dang.
So that was his gift to you after they had visited, essentially? Is that what we were reading?
What was that?
That was his gift to you from something after they had visited Wendell?
Well,
just,
yeah, I mean,
he's
I'm
a
sure
friend,
we're hanging out, around that.
I feel like I had hung out with you and Molly one or two nights there, and I think I had heard that story. And so I had archived it, and by the time I had read a few of his books, I was like, I think I had personal examples. I was like, oh, if you write him a letter, you can maybe even go talk to him. And just knew that people had done that. And it was probably the fact that,
Yeah. I remember Molly brought him brownies. And in comment to what you wrote on your thing, Landon, she and her group took a picture with him.
Yeah. I feel like I have told. Well, Matt, do you have any first reactions?
I would keep them brief. No, I'll keep them brief. So I kept Ross, you mentioned like just so many different types of people kind of weaving into this. Like I thought of a variety of different references writing similar things at different points in this kind of my interaction. Like literally everyone from Pope Francis to Mark Barnes, actually, just in some of the New Polity folks. Karl Marx, Pope Francis, and Mark Barnes. And get it? I repeated those on purpose.
Who is this group you're listing off?
Should I know who Mark Barnes is?
Yeah, hold on. Who is Mark Barnes?
I don't know Mark Barnes.
And why are they and Carl and...
So Mark Barnes and Pope Francis walk into a bar.
and Karl Marx is already sitting at the bar, obviously.
No, but yeah. Well, Mark he's a writer for this group called New Polity, is kind of like his recent thing. He had like a blog in the early days of like blogs being like a cool hip thing that I remember reading just in my college years. That was formative for me. But
I think it was called Bad Catholic, wasn't it?
Yep. It was called Bad Catholic. So,
but
added that to the list. A season, beer, wine, bad genre of types of Catholics.
But yeah,
all
just
over
a pretty.
Place, baby.
But yeah, no, pretty eclectic group of people commenting on different, kind of different facets of, what Wendell Berry's getting at.
I feel like on prior episodes, I have told a little bit of the story of me meeting him. Is that fair? I don't know if we.
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah, if you want to sort of lead
seems
with
like an appropriate place to go.
You read, kind of wrote. I after I met him, he lives. It's very rural Kentucky. It's kind of in the hills, way back from anything. And so after I left, I got to like a elementary school parking lot, and I like opened up my laptop, and I just like started trying to write out every single thing that I could remember us talking about. And so use that note doc, share that kind of with you guys, wrote a blog post about it. But Mike was just mentioning the fact that probably the last 20 minutes I was sitting at the kitchen table talking with him and his wife Tanya. I really wanted to ask to take a picture with him, but I didn't even know if he used a phone. Like we had just one of his most famous essays is about it's called Why I Will Not Buy a Computer, and we had like touched on that for a while. And the only online pictures that I've ever seen of him are kind of professionally done. Usually, like there's not a lot of like bloggers posting their selfies with Wendell. It's like part of a larger story that he agreed to that year. I wrote out just in my head like all the reasons I probably shouldn't, and if he's inspired within me like an imagination for so many things, I can certainly tell other people and write about it and not need to prove that I was there with just a selfie with him. So, but apparently not everyone does that. So Molly's got a picture.
Sellouts.
Bunch of voyeurs.
Yeah. But it was, Ross, the novel recommendation I had for you. I had read Unsettling of America First, which he wrote in 1977, debated Earl Butz. We've quoted a couple of those lines on several podcasts. And that was he really was probably the first one to ever just come out and say like corporate monoculture, agriculture, all the typical kind of slights against agriculture. He would have been the first person to stand up and say all these things that are fairly common phrases now. But it was when I finally stepped over and kind of read the first novel I encountered was Jayber Crow. And he had just, these beautiful stories about basically small town life, kind of the theme of our quad here, and the beauty within it, certainly the struggles within it as well, and mythologizing it to a degree. And within it, he really characterized the kind of negatively, just agriculture universities and corporate agriculture and big row crop farms, everything that
we were just celebrating ag universities last episode.
Right. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. All right. That is our first jumping off point. You found our bridge. We should hit that. And so my first letter to him was like, I'm basically the antagonist in your fiction, and I appreciate your perspective and being able to help me see what it was like for probably my grandfathers and great grandfathers, and being able to look at the way he would say, the desert of corn and soy fields, and just the loss of diversity in livestock. And by specializing in every single point of the value chain, we've lost something in being, as he would say, whole. One of his really famous lines that he says in many books is like, whole is derivative word of like halo and holy. And he often gets back at that fundamental topic of basically anti-specialization. He can apply it to medicine or career jobs, but agriculture's one of the most areas that he has his thumb on. So I wrote him a letter, just be like, wow, great stories, and would be happy to meet you. And he invited me down, and we talked 3 years ago. So glad that I did that.
Maybe we should read a couple excerpts from those letters, though. See if something hops. We don't have to work too hard. Just give people a flavor. Why don't we just pick like 3 random little blips? Nothing too much.
But the observation I wanted to share with you is that all my well-read friends in the city who do long for the country life have read you. They've read your fiction and nonfiction, and have heard countless times from so many people, I love Wendell Berry. Yet no one in my 30 years in agriculture has ever read you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'd definitely like to spend some time on that.
Yep.
Well, maybe why don't we just run with that?
Yep.
With whatever.
Yep. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yep. Mike, I'm going to pitch it back to you and see if you can tie in the virtue of JBT and Wendell. Are they opposites, or what's the connecting thread?
Yeah. I like that. Are they opposites or a connecting thread? Well, I mean, JBT was all about education, formation. So on our Marco Polo thread with my other family, as Ross has joked, with the Dinklings, Steven has been doing some work with acquiring an AI grant and sort of dealing with sort of how to articulate AI within the scope of Holy Cross's vision. And he remarked how if education is simply a matter of how did he put it? Outcome, then education is sort of toast. But education really fundamentally is not about outcome or widget generation, but rather perfecting the art of becoming. And so maybe that's sort of the example of that would be, right, there is more virtue, there's more beauty, there's more goodness, there is more dignity, there is more action being done that is proper in the eyes of the Lord when someone who really loves music writes a bad song than someone who is just plinking around with AI with a mild interest in music and I don't need to say obsession, but just certain interest in AI and generate something that is aesthetically pleasing, right? Because there's grinding, there's industriousness, right, in the act of becoming with a bad songwriter. So that seems like the sort of the mutual ground that JBT and Wendell Berry share, is that emphasis on education in its proper form, the act of becoming, right? And to compare and contrast here, right, I remember one the criticisms at the end of the Labor's Millennium. Many of the exact same things, the industrialization of agriculture. And as Landon remarks in his notes that I thought was really interesting, and I'd like to talk about, is how Wendell Berry has never been invited to speak in ag college broadly, just maybe the faculty. And you think of U of I, right? I mean, I've been there. We've all 3 of us have been here, but especially me and Landon, obviously being in the ag schools. It's Caterpillar and it's not Bayer.
The Monsanto room, yeah. The main
Monsanto
big room is
yeah.
the Monsanto room. Yeah.
It's those are the names you see on the door, and that's sort of the ethos. Yeah, and that's what inform. Those are the corporations, for better or for worse, that inform the world, the monoculture. And I still encourage. We don't have to spend too much time on this, but the climate world, right, which has that has a lot of negative externalities there, which seem a natural sort of dark poetry to all of it. But yep, that's the relationship between the two, and that's all I have to say about that as far as Gump said.
I really did you did type out a pretty good line that I think when I read it seemed perfectly connective. Wendell Berry is the literary labor of imbuing the mundane with the transcendental, which was JBT too. He talks about labor and work, and he made it sound transcendental.
Yeah,
and so sure. I think
but I guess maybe to give it a little bit more, people love money. That's why JBT, or not JBT, but the industrialization of ag won, or at least is winning. Will it ever not win? I don't know.
Maybe I'm missing it a little bit, but I feel like talking about JBT and Wendell Berry, on a super surface, not to negate what Mike had said, but just how my mind wraps around it. Okay, these two guys, intelligent writers, very pro agriculture and farming, but it seems I don't know, just thinking of Labor's Millennium, JBT was super progressing society forward, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Versus Wendell Berry seems to be, and again, admittedly, I said it earlier, I haven't read a lot of his stuff, but it seems to be more I wouldn't say finding your own happiness, because that's a super modern sounding thing, but
sure.
Just living a good life maybe is a better. Yeah, that's probably the better way to say it. So it seems like they had super different not goals, but what the vision was, if that makes sense. I'm driving society forward, progressing society, versus just living a good life. And we can talk about it. Just saying that doesn't necessarily mean one is better than the other, but
I think he would have hoped and thought that the fruit of all his system creation, by the time it got to Wendell's generation, would have produced hundreds and thousands and maybe not millions, but a couple million Wendell Berries, when really we only got one Wendell Berry, one philosopher, laborer, educator. And so that's where I think another line that kind of ties JBT into this, at least contrast them. It's Wendell is really his whole body of work is we got there, we got what JBT wanted, but do we want to be here? Did we end up, was the total sum of all the effort, does it add up to exactly what we had planned on?
One thing I recall from just the JBT side of things, so obviously kind of sees this grand dignity of labor, which I think we can all resonate with. Just there's a lot of meaning there in terms of what you do day in and day out, putting in your effort, working with things, and producing a good for the world, right? But I know we kind of even struggled to come up with a definition of labor, right? We kind of kicked around a bunch of stuff, and JBT doesn't, I don't know that he ever offered a true, really meaty, substantial thing of labor, and perhaps I missed it and it was there, but that might be, there's a lot of forces working against the JBT's vision. If he did envision a bunch of Wendell Berries, thousands of Wendell Berry farms instead of all of the Monsanto, whatever mega corporation farms. If you envision that, like perhaps it's like that sort of hollow word, right? If there's no meat behind what he means by labor, that can mean a lot. That can manifest itself as this sort of industrial complex that does not involve people relating to the soil the way Wendell Berry talks about it. It doesn't involve people having an affection for their neighbor, right? The way Wendell Berry talks about it. That can be something you can say labor to us, and we might naturally visualize some of those things, but say labor to a CEO, they might see dollar signs, right? And kind of this emptier view of that. So perhaps it's that issue, right? We don't know what like labor is, or maybe we have some idea of what it is, but we just don't know what it should be. Is maybe a thing there.
Well, try to answer it. Like, is there any part of the speech or comments, or he's got a couple of themes in here that I think would begin to put a framework up for answering it. So let's.
Like, I kind of like Mike's vision of the person who loves music and is just grinding it out to write a bad song. That person is really grappling with this thing. Their hands are dirty, right, so to speak. If music was messy, their hands would be dirty, I guess, right? So, like, it's like me digging in my yard, growing like a few dozen baskets of raspberries. I put in a lot of work for not that many fruits and vegetables when it's all told, right? But there is something different about that. I think the effort, I think there's a desire, there's a love, and a like an integration of things that I guess might be a more wholesome version of labor that isn't results oriented, right? That is more interested in the becoming than the final product. There's a G.K. Chesterton quote, kind of bringing another thinker here, but I love this. But it's anything worth doing is worth doing poorly, and I think just captures like there are things you do for themselves. You do them whether or not they have like the outcome you're looking for. You do them whether or not they have a bunch of money tied to it. You do them because they're good. Now, granted, they're like constraints of reality where you need to eat, you need to have shelter, you need warmth, like you need to provide those things. So there ends up being this sort of compromise in terms of how people live it out. But if we're talking about what it should be, I mean, I think it's more the art of becoming than it is the art of production.
He kind of defines his terms and he lays it out. He talks about what he thinks the economy means. He really he defines imagination, the fact that imagination in its true form can only be a physical thing that you can reach out and touch, and anything other than that is more of an abstraction, which I thought, till he got onto it later, I thought that was kind of out of left field. He had a line that I thought was really powerful. It is by imagination that knowledge is carried to the heart. And then two more points flowing from that. And he kind of throws in all of science and perhaps progress into a lump of statistical knowledge and larger quantities, and says the fact that we humans are we cannot be too much trusted with what I'm calling statistical knowledge. We don't understand big numbers really well. And we're now kind of forced to, in so many jobs in our lives, are dependent on quantities and far off calculations that we just don't comprehend, and we need computers for. Think that's an essence of proper labor, probably. I think that, it's a version of labor is something you can reach out and that is pretty close to home.
Yeah, there's a locality there.
Oh, it was the Kings. I was going to finish with the Kings. He says, yes, finally, virtually all of us now are required to act and be like kings and rulers who, from centuries ago would have mostly been the ones relying on this sort of imagination. And it just isn't built into our stories and what we've been passed on. He expands on that a few different ways, but I thought that resonated. Round robin, anybody have a quote or a comment they want to
I have two thoughts, and in my head it all ties together, but maybe I'll just share it and then we'll see what people think makes more sense. But talking about a little bit like of the production thought or like outcome, and I know we talked a little, I don't know, like Matt, you kind of mentioned the Mike, you might both have talked about it, but like it's better to write a bad song if you really get your hands dirty than to write a nice sounding song with AI. But it kind of just reminded me of like when we talked about labor, and it's kind of like, well, why are we doing what we're doing? And the thought I had was like, the first thing that came to my mind was how, and I know this sounds weird, but when little kids so now that I have kids, when we go to t-ball games, everybody wants to bat. Even if they're terrible, they want to swing the bat. And I just remember, even though I was actually pretty good at baseball, always being nervous by the time I was like a senior in high school, because I felt like I had to have a certain batting average, have so many home runs. Like there was these maybe self-imposed expectations that like made it very nerve-wracking. And then I watched my 5-year-old who wasn't great, but like he just wanted to take a turn and swing the bat. So talking about a little bit like this idea of production or outcome, or like what's the real goal of what we're doing. I don't know. I just found it interesting. I feel like it's easy to fall as an adult. I think you can have the same temptations or weaknesses. The 5-year-old that just wants to bat is no different than Mike writing a novel or Matt growing vegetables. Like you are trying your best to do a good thing. And then the 18-year-old Ross that's concerned about like, well, what's my batting average? Do I need to get a single, what do I need to do this at bat to keep it high? It seems more equivalent to the, how do I get a raise? How do I get a promotion? I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I feel like there's like an interesting tie-in with this kind of, maybe JPT's vision versus Wendell Berry's vision, and like how it plays out in like modern adulthood. That was one. I don't know. I feel like that was one thought. The other thought, which again, we can take these or not, but I forgot to say it with first reactions, but I'm assuming Matt knows what I meant here, and Mike and Landon didn't as much. The rather obvious, like, industrialization tearing down that Wendell Berry did with, like, J.R.R. Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, and how he creates this kind of, like, idealistic, small, rural Kentucky farm with, like, J.R.R. Tolkien creating the Shire in the Lord of the Rings. And I forgot to share that, but I feel like I felt that multiple times as I was listening to Wendell Berry give this speech, was like, it seems like something that Tolkien would have said simply based on Lord of the Rings novels.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
The 4 greatest fictional worlds in the English language.
The
Shire, Port William, Yakapatwa County. I don't know, whatever Faulkner wrote about. And did anyone know the last one, Lake Wobegon?
No.
Maybe this would be a good place to sort of drop however you would entitle this thought of mine. Because this seems fall under affection. I had not read this bite of text in this very generous outline. But this one, Landon bracketed sitting till bedtime under the supplemental quotes and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, I like
dive into that.
Well, I like that imagery a lot. That's not what I was going to read, but I had my own thoughts, my own little bit, a little more personal that's under that. So maybe someone else can read that. This wouldn't exactly be a first reaction, but it was, I suppose, my own affections that sort of bubbled their way to life reading Wendell Berry. And maybe reading Wendell Berry in the most genuine way. It was with my grandma there. So I'll just read what I jotted down here. I'm already swimming in memories of Freeburg at a very distinctive period. Fall 2006 through summer 2007. That final, truest embrace of my childhood, unmired by adultish thoughts and adultish experiences. As good as many of those thoughts and experiences could ever have been. It was senior cross-country season in fall of 2006. Clearing honeysuckle on the property, long bike rides, parentheses, the very literal seeds of biking for babies beginning to germinate. The last year of 4-H, all of the grandparents still alive, Tim, Calvert, Ray, the hottest senior. That's what I was voted. Friday nights at Walmart and Applebee's, long drawn out stretching sessions on the grass field, looking out to the ridge of the Mississippi River bluffs under the gold of the setting sun. The first trip to Champaign as a student, wearing my Pavo running camp t-shirt, cheap sunglasses on the top of my head. Yeah, I don't know. Those thoughts, those things sort of bubbled to the surface reading reading the text there.
So when I was with Wendell, I realized later as I've read him more, almost every single line that we talked about, he's written down, and for him, he's published it. And so there are a lot of lines that I frantically typed out, and later I'm like, oh, this is in the book. I thought that was the most profound thing, but he's already published it. And this was one. I'll go ahead and read it. He told me he was talking about his father's generation, the generation just before him. And he basically said all these words as I was sitting there. He was just like, after supper, when they weren't too tired, neighbors would walk across the field and visit each other. Farmhouse in every field at that time. They popped corn. My friend said they ate apples and talked. They told each other stories. They told other stories, as I knew myself, that they had all heard before of neighbors and each other. Sometimes about themselves, living again with each other in their own memories and keeping their memories alive. Among the hearers of these stories were always children. When bedtime came, the visitors lent their lanterns and went home. This generation before us, they talked about this, they thought about it, and they had, this is his friend saying it, but they felt like they had everything but money. And yeah, basically the title of it, the term of it right before that, it was called, in the country, it was known as sitting until bedtime, where and I don't think this was a particularly country thing. Actually, I think that you could call upon someone basically until the lights were out at 9 or 10 p.m., wherever you lived, and entertainment was primarily each other. Mike, a little bit more on what you wrote and your thoughts there. I think there is the way most Wendell Berry novels end. Should I not spoil it?
No, go for it. I'm speaking generally.
The way most Wendell Berry novels end is they just bleed into eternity, and he visualizes them and usually each I've noticed it 3 times. They all have a different aspect that is really just kind of just strikes you, and it is that timelessness that I think kind of shone through even just like your last summer before leaving town. It's like there's a rhythm and a comfort and a lifestyle without, all of the angst and anxiety of whatever is pulled. Wendell may say it's or King's North, the system, the monetary. I don't think it's just that, but yeah, it's a nod to the timelessness that he's really, really good at describing. Looking at 0.6, little pick me upper here. All right, on the count of 3, we all got to yell out in order. So everybody says 4 names. Who's the most boomer and who's the most sticker?
Oh gosh,
There's that too energetic.
I like.
Wait, we have to rank.
That's
we have to rank them in order. Are we ranking or just saying the most?
At the same time?
That's a lot of noise.
I like the boomer sticker. I'm okay with ranking it. I think who's the most boomer is the most sticker. The most boomer. Yep. I mean, we're all thinking the same thing, right? It's like eating a Twix bar. We're all like, "Ooh, I'm gonna drink my bourbon right now." I feel like I don't want to say it because he makes sticker sound good and boomer sound bad.
No,
it goes both ways. It goes both ways. I think.
All right, don't podcast scared. When I think boomer, I think Landon, because you've gone off and like made yourself apart from where you came from. When I think sticker, strictly based on geography, I think of me and Mike because we live very close to where we came from.
Y'all a city people.
I think I'm boomer, Ross. You're most sticker.
Yeah, baby.
I'm closer to home than Ross is.
I know. Mike, you're a boomer. You have a business. You have a business. Flying all across the freaking United States.
I'm gonna fly to Wyoming, but that's
I'm just flying to Iran to make a sale.
Mike has a lot of both, though. He's got like the most of both. I think.
Thank you.
I think I like this conversation. Matt, you got to vote. I was actually going to say, I feel like we've been approaching it up high. Yeah. We need to approach it from down low.
Let's get down low.
Yeah, speak in simple terms.
I think I want to hear Matt's answer, but I feel like, I think we need to attack some of our questions about, like, okay, we get Wendell Berry, JBT. I feel like we talked about the stories a little bit. I don't know. I kind of like Landon's your show. I kind of
I'm right here. We're in 0.6. What's the best 0.6 question you want to ask?
Well, I was I feel like we didn't hit 0.2 or 0.5D. 0.5D.
What's your favorite?
5D, subsection A.
It sounds terrible, but read 5D and you'll know what I freaking mean.
You're about to say again. I just feel like we haven't sunk our teeth into defining labor. Do I have to do the dishes?
Let's
be a good man or not?
I don't even know.
Anyway, read 5D.
Ross.
Wide texting my home.
Yes.
Let's get away from agriculture just for a second.
Yeah,
but Matt, who's a boomer? Who's a sticker? Well, Matt, you got to answer. Be a man.
I mean, no, I was thinking Landon for boomer, for sure. I mean, I think.
So when
Ross
I said we're all thinking the same thing, we really weren't.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all were.
Landon talks big, but how many LLCs or corporations has he started?
I feel like I'm like the sticker poser who like tries to walk
Right.
into like
I was gonna say you
and be like, "Hey guys, I garden." And so they're all like looking at me
all
like,
your money to
"Shut up."
Peoria.
I can see that. I can see that.
But anyway,
yeah, I think you're more of a sticker than a boomer. So a couple of the threads pulling. Ross, last time you said, you kind of in our deepest part, you said, I feel more at peace fixing and improving my home than sometimes, helping out with work. And I think, did you find a good Wendell line that really dove into that? He really elevated the term husbandry. And I wondered if you found peace in that deep truth.
I mean, I don't know that I have a specific line. I mean, just the one that
that's
pops,
fine.
like,
Sure.
even reading this, like, well, this is not exactly what he's saying, but like the affection for a place, I
Right.
feel like just generally captures that pretty darn well. As far as like, I don't feel connected, at least in a substantial way, to my workplace versus like my home. I don't know. We could go a lot of different ways with that. But yeah, Landon, you expand on that question more. Let's see where that goes.
When you had said that line, I don't know, the term husbandry. What Wendell talks about economy in its original, and I think proper sense, refers to household management. By extension, it is the husbanding of all the goods by which we live. An authentic economy, if we had one, would be defined by thrift and affection, our connections to nature and one another.
Can I share? I have a thought. So when I go to my sister's house, she has this picture up, and it's like it's a piece of wood that has this like thing written on it, but it says the most important work you will ever do is within the walls of your home. And I feel like something that's like, in some ways, that's a very like Wendell Berry line from the literal one speech I've heard of Wendell Berry. But like, that seems very not within the norms of our culture today. So like, when I kind of, this idea of like feeling more worth in doing these jobs at home versus outside of home, even if I'm helping people, like I feel like it fits with that well. And I think part of it is this kind of idea of not affection per place, that's different, but
yeah,
it's a similar kind of thread of like, I'm trying to think. I have a hard time articulating it, honestly. It's not that like what you do outside of the home doesn't matter. It's almost like a prioritization issue, I feel like. And I feel like that links to what I said earlier, like a long time ago about like, I feel like the people I know who are like seemingly very like at peace are like Protestant farmers and Catholics that like seem to live out the Opus Dei stuff well, in the sense of like, if you are looking, like your home is real life. Like that is where you live. That is the concrete, like literal place that you are, reality that you live within. And if you are looking for any sort of purpose or meaning like outside of it, it seems like it's just destined to fall short. And I feel like that's why like I have a sense of, if I'm doing something at home that has like a very like I'm fixing something in the house that needs fixed, working outside, disciplining the kids, like I feel like there's almost an overarching sense of like peace about it, and anything outside of the home just seems to fall short of it. Yeah, and that seems to be very in tune with what Wendell Berry talks about. But like I said, I admittedly don't think I can articulate it as well as I would like.
I mean, when you're describing that, the way, what comes to mind to me is like, I think coming through for people who matter is kind of the fundamental thing that feels good. And because I definitely feel, I feel differently, even at work. Like I feel differently doing something to help a patient I'm familiar with and I've seen for a long time and like have some sort of affection for, as opposed to seeing the patient who's grumpy, disgruntled, is really just there because they want an MRI and they need to jump through the PT hoop, right? Even within like a work setting where you're still on company time, you're still kind of focused on something other than your family who you love most, like there's still a gradient there, right? Or like, if I can come through this person who really who's genuinely in seeking my help, then like, that does feel a lot different. That does mean more. Then maybe like the next step is like even just like something Claire is like really, really good at, like is she'll just say like, thanks for going to work for us, babe. You know, like when I leave for work. And she'll like tell the kids, say, hey, say thanks for working for us, daddy. You know, like she'll cue the kids to say that. And like hearing that is like a consistent reminder is like, yeah, like there are times I do feel like insurance, just like an insurance broker for healthcare, right? Because you have to deal with so many insurance things, like a red tape navigator. But yeah, like there is something like when I leave in the morning and when I come back home, like there's that coming through for people who matter, right? That does mean something to me. Even more so, right? The next level is like, when I'm fixing the house, when I'm when I took apart the dryer to replace these, placed 4 different parts because I wasn't sure which one was making the squeaking. So I'm like, well, let's just replace them all and fix it, right? Like when I took apart the dryer and put it back together and it worked and it was quiet and peaceful, like that did feel a lot better than any of those other things. I think that's what it is. It's like Claire needed a dryer that didn't wake the kids up. Even if it dried the clothes the same, like it was noisy and obnoxious and it made the house like not pleasant. Right. So, and like so I guess like long story short, coming through for people who matter is kind of what that is. And what, I think that's what we're made for. And that's why I like how he brings in the affection part, because I mean, it's almost taboo to like describe your affection for a patient or for a coworker or for whatever. And maybe rightfully so, because there's a lot of like, there have been enough, bad versions of that, whether it's like playing favorites or whatever. But at the same time, like, I mean, who is your, I don't know. I feel like that's like what it means to be a neighbor, right? Like my neighbors matter more to me, even though I don't like all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But I still have an affection for them because they're my neighbor. And like, that's, I guess that's kind of more who we're called to love than all of the patients at OSF in this general sort of way. It's like, well, yeah,
right.
I try to give everyone good care, but like that doesn't change the humanity of it.
Yeah. We're really hitting on how Wendell ends this speech in a few ways. And he does get to a thread here, Matt. You just said, I want to come through for people, who matter. And Wendell talks about what culture is, and he kind of goes on to high culture and low culture, and then transitions into, he often says the word like land community. And working for and with your neighbor is just a whole different thing. And I framed it kind of in our prep work here of like imagining myself, because this is a lot about agriculture and farming, but what if it was about PT or something else? And it's like, what if instead of, I don't know which company you work for, Matt, I'm sorry.
I always have,
but like instead of what it is, it's like the Schultz family PT clinic. And I think an aspect of the land community that he's talking about, it's like, what if your vocation, had that community family, your grandpa who started it shows up Wednesdays after lunch and dad's still there 2 days a week and you're running it full time. And it's basically for, a smaller community, unconnected from just the much larger transactional economy where, you know, you might not know him, but you're probably going to see him in the grocery store, etc. I think that there's an element there that, in speaking with Wendell, I remember him emphasizing this point. Like, he just kind of set offhand and lamented, like, man, we were so close. We really did have like the right things. We were just starting to click and settle America and like get into a groove right before World War One. And then it just rocked our boat. And it kind of like he was just telling me, like,
sure,
that is what he's idolizing, and it is the stories that he felt like he had from his father. That, and he says here a lot, it's not just the farmer, it's the shop dweller and the townsperson, etc. And I feel like that is what would change things if everything about any work we did was for neighbor in the sense I've thought of. It's like when Wendell or Paul Kingsnorth say neighbor, they pretty much all the time mean actually like your neighbor, the neighbor present in your imagination. When you hear neighbor kind of in less localities, like, well, sometimes neighbor means humanity. It's like, well, that's a lot further away. And so
it's like the Mother Teresa. I think it's Mother Teresa, but maybe somebody else. But like somebody said, like, people say they love the poor, but they don't love the poor person standing next to them. I don't know. I have one thought of where we could go. I still feel like we're just slightly lacking to really bite into it enough. I have like a devil's advocate thought, unless you guys have another way you want to go.
No, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, just to build up.
No,
you go that way. I want to help build up your thought. I mean, because I was thinking similar the Mother Teresa quote, but you know, to reference one of our past podcasts, because everything is connected. You know, and this reminds me of the Brothers Karamazov episode, right? In the speech by Father Zosima, right? And it's, you know, it's easier to love humanity, right, than the person next door, you know, the person who actually smells and who actually is annoying, who is actually whatever. So just coming in from all angles. Okay.
So this is Landon's episode, but I just have a thought. And I honestly am like, I'm pitching this as like, I feel like I know the answer, but I can't get my teeth into it well enough to like be able to say it. But so we're talking about loving the poor versus the poor person next to you, Father Zosima's wisdom. We didn't really talk about industrialization yet, but I think it kind of fits in with this kind of like neighbor talk. JBT versus, you know, Wendell, all of this stuff. And I think we all like romantically are like, yeah, Wendell gets it. Like, it's about loving the person next to you, having the garden in my backyard, fixing the broken thing in my house. And like, I feel like I like know that that's the answer. But the temptation that I don't think I have like I don't have an adequate response to is like, if someone were to say like, but the other side helps, like, is going to be better. So like, it seems like modern America, the West, like, has taken more the, and I don't want to say JBT route because that's probably not actually accurate, but like in this context of this situation, industrialization, economics versus instead of economy, or production, like all of these type of things. But like, that's also produced a world where it's actually not that bad, if that makes sense. So like, if someone were to say like, sure, like all these tiny farms, self-producing food, small businesses, like that's really good in helping the person next door. But like overall, like we seem to have produced a pretty good system in terms of like life is pretty darn good right now in the United States of America. So like, would it why the disconnect, or would it have been as good if we went the other way? If that makes sense. If we didn't focus on the economy and big farms and big corporations, etc.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like I don't think I feel like I like the romantic idea of the other side, but I don't have like an adequate response for, you know what? It actually turned out pretty darn good.
So the descent. Yeah.
There's a quote that I sort of looking for opportunity to bring up, and I think it fits well here and sort of runs with. Oh, here we go. Found it. Thank you. Control find. Yeah, that sort of runs with Ross's devil, the devil in him, his advocacy of the devil. This is in Landon's.
You didn't have to say it like that.
This is in Landon's notes from the meeting with Wendell Berry. You're not even allowed to edit it. I requested access. You didn't even let me.
You wouldn't let him.
Can't edit the notebooks.
Read only. No.
So this is Landon remarking on Wendell Berry's commentary of the past. He said that his grandfather's generation had a lot of marital disharmony, last generation without medical care. And then Landon sort of editorializes, lots of lost children, grieving, just hard on marriages all around. Then back to more focusing on Wendell's perspective. He said they were really, really good farmers, though. And I'll keep going just because to help reinforce something said earlier. We were close to settling in America in the early 1900s before all world wars broke out. Then we were on the move again. Yeah, so that marital disharmony, children die. That's a heavy weight to carry. I can imagine. That modern medicine, that specialization, has gone quite a long ways to resolving. So how do we deal with that?
I would say it is I'm really glad you added it. I think it's the question that needs to be asked with Wendell's work. I think a wholesale following in perhaps the cult-like narrative of it probably isn't the right answer.
Sure.
And yeah, Mike gives a great point of no one actually wants to go back to 1910. It was really smelly and a lot of work. And
I think I won't.
Let's just use AI, and AI can finish the episode.
AI, answer all of the questions we're asking. Go.
And make next episode too while you're at it.
And make this episode better. All right.
Yeah, I got some thoughts, but I'm already rebutting myself before I even start talking.
See, this is where I feel like we needed to be right now, to be a good podcast. Like, we don't know the answer, and that's where that's good. Right. That's a good thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know.
I mean, I think, clearly we're not gonna. Ross, you just told me to shut up. You better have a good answer.
We all know the answer. We just can't explain why it's the answer. That's the problem.
Here's a thought, right? I think that a part of us want to say
5-year-old right now that's like, let me take a turn, and you're just gonna strike out, Mike. You're just gonna miss the ball.
No, he's got it. Let him go.
I think a part of us want to say, okay, modern medicine, you do your thing. And then we're all going to go to Wendell Berry's little farm cult and have our little 40-acre plots of ground and la, 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 la. That's our ideal.
Madison, ignore everything we just said. I mean, honestly, I think there's something to that.
No, just the medicine. We just want the medicine. I'll take the vaccines. None of you assholes get any.
I'm like quadruple boosted, okay?
I'll live to be 150 in this commune.
Mike, join us in heaven. No, the robots can keep me alive. I think we have to like look at like what our goal is. For most people, like the ultimate goal is like, I just want to live a happy life, right? So I hear all of this stuff and I don't have a good, like I was the one that started the devil's advocate conversation 5 minutes ago, but like I heard this guy that was talking about like the difference between your actual age but your biological age, and was trying to bring the biological age down. So he ate like the exact same thing every day.
Yeah, Brian, somebody.
Yada yada yada. And he was actually 57, but his biological age was 49. Blah blah blah.
Brian Johnson.
Maybe it's just Brian Johnson. I don't know. But I just remember thinking, like, dude, you're gonna die eventually. Mm-hmm. I don't care what diet you consume. Maybe you lived 100 instead of 97, but like you're gonna die. As opposed to looking at every single thing as like an outcome to be achieved. So like, well, how old can I live? How much money can I make? Blah blah blah. Like there might actually be a better question of just like, how do you live a good life? Because like you are going to die. And I feel like that's like the thing that maybe can drive home some of the, okay, maybe Wendell Berry's actually right, because you're actually asking the right questions. Kind of like almost like the St. Paul, like this, I forget the phrase, but like the wisdom of the world, like it's not actually going to make sense if you think about it in this context, but it will make sense if you think about it in the actual like important context. If we actually view a better life as I live longer, I make more money, my house is better. I mean, it's hard to argue with JBT wouldn't be the right word, but James B. Duke, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
If it's like, I really just want to live a good, happy life, I feel like Wendell Berry maybe makes more sense. I remember when we were at Stillwater, Mike, you might remember this. I think I was talking to you when I said this. Maybe it was Landon. I said something to the effect of, paraphrase, I feel like we just need to figure out, like, how do I be happy? Like, if I end up living in a not so great town as a firefighter, not doing crazy cool things, you know, how do I still be happy there? As opposed to, you know, how big can my company get?
Yeah.
Like the former is going to be a lot happier than the latter.
Yeah. And I mean, in fairness to Wendell Berry, you know, he's not advocating some sort of Ludditism, you know, certainly, because it sort of gets to the crux of the thing, right? Is personal agency. Personal agency allows for the best and the worst of humanity, and there's so many opportunities to continue to persist in a world where you do, you know, take advantage of the good things that have been forged in the modern world, and actively choose resistance, and not just resistance to like, you know, build a better body, but choose resistance to endure together with others. You know, the example being of that, I think that fits well here, you know, is growing up, we did not have a dishwasher. My parents did not have a dishwasher. A dishwasher was just the name of the person who was standing over the sink doing the dishes. That's what a dishwasher is. And they still don't have one. And right in that kind of and I'm deeply grateful for it in retrospect. I mean, I think us three, because like complain in average amount I'd say, of not having one, because even back then most people had one, I would say. Right, but it was that laboring together, or dishwasher fighting over who got the sweeping job of the kitchen, because the sweeper would get done first. Fighting over who got the rinse, because rinsing was a little bit easier than washing the actual dishes. Enjoying that sweet reward of either it being your birthday, so it meant you did not have to do dishes, or you had a ton of homework. That was the only other alibi. Otherwise, dishes had to be done. One doesn't necessarily need to speculate on what is the proper interpretation, application, integration of Wendell Berry's thoughts, but rather, create that space in it, within your own heart, and begin those applications tomorrow after you listen to this podcast.
3 quick follow-up points there. Wendell, because he does sound so Luddite, he does often have to talk about the Amish, because they are kind of a form of community that does embody everything he does. His main thing he always says is, like, with each new technology, like, they all get in a room and they decide, like, how will this collectively help us? And all of the virtues that we hold on our highest, like, is this going to sever relationships or the ways we do things? And I think just being able to recognize when maybe something might not uplift the family or yourself is a good question. Our preacher quoted Wendell Berry a couple weeks ago. I might have shared this in the other podcast, but another writer said, like, you don't have to go home and turn into an Amish person, but you might have to get closer than you think. Like,
sure. I like that.
And what he basically told the congregation, he kind of just pivoted more into some tactical things with screens. He's like, if you adopt this, your kids aren't going to be the coolest kids in your school. You might not even get along with another family in this church that well.
Sure.
He just told the congregation that. He's like, if you buy into this, if you lean into this, there's going to be tension with even the person across the pew, which I thought was pretty prescient.
I like that.
For sure.
And then I think you told that dishwasher story like 6 months ago, Mike. I've hand washed dishes every night since then.
Whoa.
Wow.
Technically, our dishwasher, it wasn't broken, but like we did replace it. It was like, I don't know. It was the gift our in-laws gave. They lived with us for like 2 months. But through that, I was hand washing out of necessity. And then you told that story, and I was like, I do them every night. I dry them, put them away every morning. I don't have to bend over. It's a lot easier, I think.
Dang. Speech guys, changing lives.
Get ready to dish at a time.
Heard it here
Final
first.
Final bell.
Ding, 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 ding.
All
you
your
like
strength,
one of those two?
all your power, all your love.
What round is it? It's 15. One more round. There's no stopping this now. This is our round. Don't stop it now. To start, we don't stop. All your strength, all your power, all your love, everything you've got. This is your whole life, kid. Do it now.
Yeah, I love how we are so organically fluid into that.
It's only 75 episodes to get there, but we got it.
That's right, 77.
We just can't figure out the outro.
Yeah.
Who would you write a heartfelt letter to? That's good. What writer would you most desire to have read every word they ever wrote? Whoa.
I sort of like the second one better.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like the first one.
Should I read? Is it potpourri? You can choose your.
No.
You're the leader, Landon.
Pick one.
Make a decision.
Pick one.
Yeah, number 2 had it then.
You can't say Jesus or anything like that.
All right.
Yeah, don't worry about answers.
Well, in preparing to meet,
Jesus never wrote anything, doofus.
so I wrote Wendell. He's like, "Yeah, come meet me." And then I'm like, "Oh man, I got to study now. I don't want to like say something dumb." It's like I wrote a book about that. So I crammed. I read a lot, and I still enjoy reading him. I think he'll be the one writer that I'll have gotten pretty close, in the coming decades to have reading every word he's ever wrote. What writer would you have that pursuit for yourselves? If not, have you ever even thought of that question? I want to read everything this guy's written.
Or gal, mind you.
Or gal.
If we all form a name, guys, you're gonna seem stupid, Mike.
It's always 3-in-1. The 3-in-1 is always Lord. Yeah, I've never felt particularly passionate about chasing every title by an author. That's sort of a unique thing. I do find it an interesting thought. I was just turning behind me, looking at my bookshelf, seeing what sticks out or not. A couple of things stick out. I mean, a part of me feels like Fyodor Dostoevsky, even though the only thing I ever read is 2/3 of the Brothers Karamazov. It's just like, oh, I can see where this is going. And I support
it. You have no idea where it's going to.
I read The Grand Inquisitor. That's the part everyone quotes. And The Onion, if you're going for bonus points.
One of his books.
And I think probably the more interesting, more genuine response might be Dorothy Day. I read The Long Loneliness. I read it probably every other year, a little bit more often than that, I'd say. And really enjoyed not a book by her, but about her, by her granddaughter, called The World Be Saved by Beauty. Also, quote from Dostoevsky, whoa, 1993. But I lean a little more towards Dorothy Day, right? Because she wrote, there's nothing she wrote that would be famous now, but she did write quite a bit of fiction that would maybe be in like that dime store novel category. I get the sense of, back in the early 20th century. But I think I would enjoy reading it because I'm just very fascinated with her as a person, and obviously the spiritual lens too. And I think I would just take great pleasure and fascination in hearing her voice in those stories. So rather than being emphasizing like the stories themselves, like, oh, I want to read the book, the stories, like, okay, I'm sort of interested in the story, but I want to hear her voice in this time and place and sort of see what I can sort of glean from it. So female. Boom.
Boom. So that's the 1. Here comes the 3. The person that comes to my mind is John Paul II for this question. He seems to really bridge the gap of like, how do you move Catholicism into like the modern day and bring them together?
So, Mike, you mentioned Dostoevsky. Not only have I read Brothers Karamazov once,
in its entirety.
I read third is illuminating.
I read 2/3 of it the second time, and then I lost steam. But I have read a couple others. So I read one short story, and then I read another shorter novel called Notes from the Underground of his. He would be on the short list.
You literally have to pick one person. Like, that's the question.
Okay, I'll pick him then for the answer.
That was the question.
So real quick though, I don't know that J.R. Tolkien has written. Did he write anything beyond The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings? Because I might have already checked the box.
Yes, he's written more than that.
They're a bunch of
Stop talking right now.
Well, they're a bunch of like post-humanist works and stuff. But were those him or was that
the Letters of Father Christmas? There's more.
Okay. All right. Well, good. He would be up there.
Tolkien Day.
Aquinas. He just wrote that one homily once, right? That's all he ever wrote. I don't have to read anything else.
Matt's crying. Can't see his face.
Wendell, Dorothy,
Matt, you
John,
made some really good points tonight.
And whatever JR stands for.
I'm texting Claire right now. Make sure you thank Matt for going to work tomorrow.
That's right. He needs it. No. I feel like the because didn't his like son put together the Silmarillion from like his other stuff that wasn't published?
He didn't write it.
Well, sure, but okay, whatever.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah, you think Caterpillar's just like fixing everything and Monsanto. They put it all together.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so Tolkien.
So we got Rumble the Second, Dorothy Day, and a J.R. Tolkien. Landon?
Wendell. My intro was my answer.
I think that counts.
Yep. It's all right. Well, Matt, got anyone in mind for next episode?
To be determined. Maybe J.R. Tolkien. Since there's all these things we haven't read yet.
He's actually from a small town?
He's from, maybe, I don't know. I'd say that in tongue-in-cheek. But, I'll figure something out.
Tolkien is from Bloemfontein, South Africa. Yeah, sounds like a small town.
I never heard
of it.
Probably small.
It's probably small.
Well, as we always like to say, thanks for drinking.
And thinking.
With us.
Hey, be safe out there, huh? Wow. Cue the music. Wow, that was amazing. Synchronicity.
Ends come and go. Look toward the horizon. Up ahead you'll find a peace of mind, relief from the trying. I have burned a bridge, wrecked in a ditch, had to ask forgiveness. Dead ends come and go. Look toward the horizon. Oh, there are stories to tell. The times we grew and the times we fell. Oh, I've been afraid some days, but the road will lead us to a better place. Road will lead us to a better place.